Hello, Facebook. We are live for Spotlight Sunday here, and we have Ronda Shirley, who is going to be talking about her amazing business. So, Ronda, how about you just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you and your business and what you do for your clients?
Hi. Like Brooke said, I'm Ronda Shirley. I own a therapy and consulting practice in Macon, Georgia, which is about maybe an hour south of Atlanta.
Cool.
So I do different things. What I do is I marry my backgrounds, which I have about 17 years in corporate.
Mm-hmm.
Came out of corporate, became a therapist. Like I say, did all the corporate type of things. So now I'm just making a great big baby with all that
Mm-hmm.
I've learned.
Cool. Cool. So what did you do in corporate?
So I did different things. I had the good fortune of being in insurance. So, having been in insurance, one of the things that I did was like underwriting and claims,
Mm-hmm.
lots of management. So, the bulk of my time was spent in management,
Okay.
which is where I'm able to recognize the need for kind of maneuvering through that whole thing from picking out your career choices
Mm-hmm.
to, sidestepping any type of bums in the workplace, that type of thing.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that totally makes sense how it fits together. Awesome. Okay, cool. So the next question I like to ask everybody is, what is kind of your definition of branding, and what does that mean for you and your business?
Great question. It's such an individualized thing, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yeah.
I can remember going online and looking up branding, and
Mm-hmm.
it was this host of things that came up. So,
Yeah.
you know, so I guess if I had to put it in a box myself, I would say that it is your way of creating space in the world that is uniquely you.
Yeah, I love that. That's so good. That's so
Yeah.
good. So, do you feel like, having that understanding of what branding means, has that affected how you run your business at all?
It's so interesting because it has and it hasn't.
Mm-hmm.
So in corporate, everyone is kind of like a different version of the same thing.
Yeah.
Being in private practice, it makes it totally different. So you truly get to
Mm-hmm.
present as you uniquely are,
Mm-hmm.
which it seems like it'll be so exciting, but it's spooky because you really don't have a framework from which to build that on.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, shoot, who am I? So, you got to dig through all the rubble of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so true.
Like, really?
Yeah, corporate's definitely easier in that aspect, but I feel like it's so much more fun to just get to be you though, and
For
figuring
sure.
it out is definitely fun.
Yeah, right.
Cool. Okay, so let's hear about your thing. What are you going to teach us today?
Okay, so the thing that we're going to be focused on today is creating space for self care. So
Awesome.
often we pride ourselves on this thing about grinding. I'm on my grind. I'm hustling, which I have 8 jobs. I don't sleep. Those types of things. They sound really great. They make awesome rap videos, but the truth of the matter is they don't propel you forward in doing the things that you most want to do.
Mhm. Mhm.
So what we'll do today is we'll be talking about some of the things about this wonderful, elusive thing that's called self-care. How, what it is, what it isn't, and ways that we can infuse it into our day-to-day and the benefits of doing so.
I love it. Perfect.
Cool. So I guess we can start with what is self-care, right?
Mhm.
Because the myth of self-care is people just luxuriating, eating buns, and letting life pass them by, which is all a myth. You know, I say all the time that we have to be our own first favorite customer.
Mhm.
So when we think about that and we take that concept and apply it to self-care, it's a matter of creating an opportunity to be our best self, right?
Mhm.
And how do we do that? Well, one of the ways that we do that is we create a space where there's a need. We
Mhm.
figure out what that need is and we fulfill it.
Mhm.
Same thing with self-care. What is it that we need?
Mhm.
And taking the time to create space to fulfill that need.
Mhm. That's perfect. I love that definition because I think it's so funny. Everybody talks about self-care online all the time, I feel like, but everybody's definition is so different. And that's so interesting. And I mean, even how you said it, it still leaves so much room for interpretation of what it means for you. I love that. That's awesome.
Right? Because see, a lot of people, when they look at it from luxuriating, it's almost like they see it as being selfish, and that to self, you have the option of either caring for others or caring for yourself. And to care for yourself just seems like, I'll just catch up to it later. But now if you don't engage in some level of self-care, there'll be no later.
That's so true. I always like the airplane example, like put your own mask on before you can help anyone else.
Isn't that the truth?
The basic level of it. That's great. Awesome.
Another thing too about self-care is the purpose is, like I say, that it serves. And with the purpose comes the benefits, right? So one of the things is you get to lower your stress. So often everyone is just so stressed out. And people do different things with they stress, they snap, they drink, they overeat, they undersleep, just a host of things. So by taking that time out, whatever that is, and just creating a little pocket, right? That's all we need. We don't have to fly to Fiji. Just a little pocket, just a little pocket to create space for us to do what it is that we need.
Yeah. So can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So what is your favorite self-care practice? Like, if you say you don't need, obviously Fiji would be nice, but if we're limited on time and resources, what's your way of practicing self-care?
So my favorite is my vice of Candy Crush.
Okay.
That's my way of kind of getting in the cut and just kind of, okay, let's unplug your wool sock for a minute. So I play my little Candy Crush and get it in.
That's great. How fun.
What are yours?
I like to go to yoga. I just started going to yoga at a studio. I did it like on little TV videos, and it's just not the same. So I like that, and we have a hot tub, so I like the hot tub too. It's hot here, like 100 degrees outside right now, so I don't get to do that as much. But other than Fiji, of course, if I could go to Fiji, that would be top of the list. But
right, yeah. That's the ultimate big check for self-care.
But I'm liking yoga lately.
You know what? There is a connection between yoga and a centering and becoming more connected to our spirit self, which is another thing too. That is a form of self-care. Connecting to your spirit self and recognizing that you are not the problem that you are experiencing. You are more than just bustling and collecting coins.
Yes.
You are an energy that requires renourishing and being around other energies for fuel.
That's so true. That's so true. And I think that's why I like the actually going to the class part of it so much, because you don't get that when you're watching a yoga video at home.
Right.
Or it's much harder, I guess. At least I don't get it.
I said I was going to try, but I can't. I don't know. I guess I have this fear of it. But yeah, I've always been so uber impressed with yogis because, it's not just an exercise. It's like a way of being. Yeah. And it's like, ooh, it's yoga ladies, like, so utterly cool.
It's fascinating. I'm not at that level. I go to the very easy classes, but it is. It's that self-care. Like, I feel like I'm doing something good,
And I guess in essence, you really are. I mean, when you think about it, because another piece of self-care is focus.
Yeah.
And when you're doing yoga, you got to focus. You got to lock it down. Otherwise, you'll hurt yourself. That's one of the things about it. You get a chance to just kind of not be so distracted. Because now, whatever's going on, whatever great spotlight you're preparing for, can't really focus on that in your yoga class, which is like, yay, time for Brooke. Self-care.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well,
sorry. I interrupted you there. But...
No, go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Well, let's move on then.
I guess one of the things that I think has the greatest weight with the whole self-care thing is, different types of self-care. I think that gives us so many options as far as how we do it, why we do it, and what we can do. Um, with that being said, it's like I feel like I'm like pivoting it, so I want to make sure that I don't miss answering any of the things that you wanted to ask before I kind of delve in.
You're totally fine. You're good. Let me scroll through real quick and make sure we don't have any questions in the box yet. So far, no questions. If anybody has questions, put them in. We got a bunch of people saying hi. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. If anybody has any questions, put them in as we go, and we'll come back and check them. But
cool. So one of my favorite things about self-care is listening to your inner voice, right? Again, going back to being your favorite customer. The first thing you want to know about your favorite customer is how can I figure out how to get the connection so that they see me and we can make this thing happen. So we have to kind of sit with ourselves for a little while. And there are different ways we can do that. So I love assessments, man. I mean, it's got all these different things. Like my son found one for using your birthday years and months, and you figure out who you are, and you get this wonderful lead in. Like I think his was leader, mine was master creator, and it's like it gives you buzzword as far as okay, so this is a path of sorts. So now if I buy into this thing of being a creator, because of what the creators need. Well, one thing creators need to be innovative. So I guess I need to get some books out and get to reading and figuring out how to get those things done. So yeah, the first thing about self-care is learning who you are. Right? A lot of people say, well, who am I? I don't know who I am. I don't know my purpose. Well, no, you won't know because no one's going to give you like a fortune cookie and say, hey, there you are. That's who you're going to be. It's a process. Like, for example, you didn't always know that you were going to do what you were going to do, right?
Right. I mean, I liked to color when I was little. Kind of leads to graphic design, but it took a while to circle back there. I had a bunch of other majors in college, and I definitely didn't know all along.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it takes time with yourself and giving yourself outlets to kind of, okay, well, I like coloring and I like things looking a particular way and I like color combos. It's like, oh, I'm not going to just color. I'm going to be a graphic designer. I'm going to be a graphic artist. So we have to kind of spend time with ourselves, which means that all the busyness can sometimes detract us away from doing what it is that we need to be doing.
For sure.
Another thing is got to identify those goals. Goals are the blueprint. That lets us know if we're wasting time or not. Because there's nothing that's more anti-self-care than wasting time. So we got to get those in place. And they don't have to be like huge goals. I'm going to conquer the world, be, president number 46. I mean, it don't have to be anything like that. It can be something as simple as, today I'm going to get that blog post done. Today I'm going to just do the sketch for my blog post. But we always have to be working towards something because it's the stress that takes us out of being in care mode. So I got to make sure that we keep those stress levels down.
Yeah, for sure. I was just gonna say I like to set like small goals and large goals because I have plenty of those small goals and sometimes that's totally enough for me, but sometimes I'm like still I don't want to do it. And sometimes it's those larger overarching goals that kind of keep you motivated a little bit more. So like I've seen a lot of different online strategists and in any field really talk about goal setting, and some people say like set 30-day goals or 90-day goals, or some people plan out their whole freaking year. So what's your take on goal setting and how often do you do that?
So that's a really good question. All of the above.
Okay.
I do right. So I do the full year goal. Then I chop it off into quarters. Then I chop it off into months. and then I chop it down to weeks,
Mm-hmm.
and then I get it down to the day.
That's
Because
awesome.
sometimes, yeah, I know, right? It sounds way more, succinct than what it really winds up being. But I try to do it that way. So I'm always working on something,
Mm-hmm.
because for me, that's my self care, to be able to see my progress in things,
Mm-hmm.
big or small. Because sometimes if the focus is the big goal, running 26 miles, you're going to lose sight of the
Right.
fact that, hey, I ran a whole yard. Like, woohoo.
Yep, exactly. You got to have both to kind of balance it out.
Absolutely. Because that's the name of the game, right? Balance. So
Mm-hmm.
we got to make sure
Yeah,
that balance is in place.
for sure. I love
hmm
it.
hmm Another one that I have is just breathing.
Mm-hmm.
I was sharing with a client who battles with anxiety. I said, "You're not breathing, are you?" And they were like, "What do you mean?" I said, "Do you find yourself sometimes where you are gasping?" And they were like, "Yeah." I said, "Because what's happening is you are overriding your brain's normal system of movement, which includes breath.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes we have to just breathe."
Mm-hmm.
Um, because breathing, as simple as it sounds, it is like so uber powerful. It's
Yes.
like,
Yes,
it's
it
the
is.
reason.
That's kind of what I've bringing back yoga again. Like that's the first experience I've really had with focusing on breathing and like how powerful it really can be. It's crazy. It's awesome. 'Cause
Isn't it though?
I'm definitely one of those people. I forget to breathe. Like especially like working out or stuff like that, but even in general, like so that's so I love that you're talking about, goals and breathing and stuff because that's so important, but you don't normally put those two things or those things together with self-care, but they are so connected. That's awesome. I've never thought about it from that perspective. That's why I love doing these videos and learning from different people. It's so fun.
Right.
Everyone knows
Because
it's
like you,
important, but
isn't it the truth?
yeah,
It's like eating. Like, yeah, I mean, I know I need to eat, but it's like, yeah, but it's deeper than that. Because the truth
yeah.
of the matter is, I mean, you could just eat Fritos, but your body needs more than that.
Yeah.
Uh, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that breathing thing is key because there's a scientific background on breathing that when we breathe, it redistributes the blood flow in the brain. Because when we're not breathing, we are in what we call our premammalian cells, which is like basically we're like walking human lizards. We're just waiting for the next thing to operate on instinct, which
Okay.
is so not a good space to be in.
It doesn't sound good.
No, it's not. Our worst things happen when we're in that space. That's when we find ourselves yelling at people or
Mm-hmm.
breaking the diet plans or, reneging on the goals. So
Mm-hmm.
we don't want it there. The breathing, though, will take our blood from sitting here to moving it forward, which is where we have our consequences, our logical processes. So breathing is the name of the game. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where we have our calm in the front of our brains. So that's why breathing is boss. You
Yeah.
know,
That's so cool. That's so
yeah,
cool.
right. It's amazing. A lot of times, and I'm not anti-medicine by any stretch of form, but just the simple things that we can do
Mm-hmm.
can thwart off a lot of the things that we struggle with, be it mentally, be it professionally, that really don't require anything more than slowing it down,
Yeah.
breathing, just kind of chilling out for a second.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, okay, so this is one that I haven't seen, but as I was reflecting on our time together, it kind of saddened my spirit. And
Mm-hmm.
this other form of self care is keeping this strong stream of forgiveness.
Okay.
We gotta make sure that we stay in forgiving mode.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say that, I'm not necessarily talking about the big stuff, someone cut us off when we were trying to get to wherever we were going. Forgiveness is okay, going back to the goal. So my goal today may have been to sketch out next week's blog. But between family obligations, oh no, maybe I didn't feel good, whatever it was, and I didn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
We have to keep that stream of forgiveness in place so that it's like, listen, you're not a bad person.
Yeah.
It's always tomorrow. Let's just move forward.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, if we don't keep this steady stream of forgiveness, we'll never accomplish anything because we'll be overwrought with guilt, shame, and embarrassment.
Yes.
And just like we wouldn't want to make our customers, our clients feel guilt, shame, and embarrassment, we shouldn't do it to ourselves either. Because remember, we are our first favorite customer.
Yep.
Want to say it and done.
Yeah, that's so important, definitely. And that's another one that I'm guilty of big time. Like, I'm way harder on myself than I would be on anyone else. And you're right. Like, it's definitely something to work on, for sure. It's so important.
For sure, for sure. Because one of the things too with that is people treat us as we treat ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So another way of engaging in self-care by affording forgiveness to ourselves is it sets the platform for how we want people to treat us.
Mm-hmm.
The golden rule says, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. That's the golden rule.
Yeah.
It rarely works out that way, though. People do unto you as you do unto yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're mean, you say awful language, I'm stupid, stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
you'll find that people will be responding to you in kind.
Yeah.
So self-care, making sure you stay in a forgiving mode with yourself.
Awesome.
Yeah, big one. It's a big one, but it's a small word.
Mm-hmm.
2 letters. No.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes. That's one of my favorite words. I've definitely learned that one.
Don't you have to learn it, though?
Yes.
I was talking with a colleague, and we don't hear this term too often nowadays. But when I was growing up, my mom and all the women told all the girls in my age group at the time to be a good girl. That's the goal, be a good girl.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes being a good girl means saying yes when you really want to say no, and saying no when you would prefer to say yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that is not a good version of self-care.
Right.
We got to be able to be okay with saying no.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reason, right? We have to go back to our 4-year-old selves, because our 4-year-olds will tell us in a minute, no.
Mm-hmm.
They don't give us reason. They don't give us statistics. They just say no.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a done deal.
Yep.
We have to regress.
Yes. Definitely. I love that one for sure. It took me a while to get there, but I talk about that a lot too, like setting boundaries and saying no, and it's super important. I'm with you all the way. Not that I haven't been on the other ones, but that one just hits home for me.
Right? And the yin of that is, it's okay to say yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to say yes to the thing that scares us. It's okay to say yes to the thing that when you ask us, 5-10 years ago, would we do it? At that time we told it, nah, don't think so. It's okay to say yes and change your mind,
Mm-hmm.
because that's the beauty, right?
Yeah.
We always talk about, we don't always talk about, but there's this thing called reincarnation, right? Where you die and you come back. We're all familiar with reincarnation. But the truth of the matter is, as humans, we're incarnates. So we're forever changing. We're forever evolving. And it's okay to do that. That's our design, to always change. So if we decide to change our minds at some point in time, that's cool too.
Mm-hmm.
It's all in regards to who we are and who we are meant to be.
Mm-hmm.
We never were meant to be stagnant.
Mm-hmm.
There's some room there. I know can be like, well, maybe. And that's okay.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about saying yes?
I think it's really important. Like you said, I think you hit the main point there. Like with the growth and the growing and changing and evolving, I think that's super important, not only for yourself but in your business too. Like I think it's important to say yes if it's a question of like pushing yourself out of your comfort zone and help if it's something that's going to help you achieve your goal and doing something, to push you in the direction where you want to be. But then I'm all about saying no if it's something that you don't really want to be doing. Like, if you don't have the, the time or the resources, or if you just don't freaking want to do it, say no.
Right.
But if it's a matter of just like being scared and not wanting to leave that bubble, then yes, say yes. That's when you don't say no, because I'm all about that for sure. I've even just like the live video stuff, for me, I used to be terrified of doing it. I'm like, okay, I got to figure it out. I got to say yes. I got to do it if I'm going to get where I want to be. And now it's no big deal at all. Like, I'm on video all the time. It's nothing. But so I definitely think you have to say yes and no. And they both come back to self-care too. I love how you're tying it all together.
Absolutely. I got to get like you, Brooke, on this whole video thing. It's like the video thing is like, ah.
Yeah, it's scary for sure. It's definitely scary for sure. And sometimes I'm still like, yeah, I'm going to say something stupid today. But if I do, then I do. And it is what it is. It hasn't hurt me yet. And
that's what I'm talking about, self-care. The forgiveness piece. If I say something, hey, I just say it. I mean, chalk it to my mind, not my heart.
Yep. And like I said, it hasn't hurt me yet. And I've noticed that just watching other people too. Not just with video, but like watching other people do things outside of their comfort zone. And you always think it's a bigger deal for you than it really is to other people. Like if you mess up or if you do something stupid, like other people don't care as much as you think they do. Is what I've learned.
Isn't that the truth? Mm-hmm. Because people are so awed at the fact that, you're doing those things that they don't normally take the time to critique it in the same way that we would, because they're like, wow, Brooke's like really badass. I mean, how can I be like that? So, all the other stuff just kind of falls off to the wayside.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Let me see. I just had a couple more pointers on, examples of self-care. One of them we say we're going to do, right? That's generally one of our New Year's resolutions, but it's really hard for us to follow through with it. And that is just to reach out and say, hey, to be a friend, a family member, a colleague, just to, hey, what's good? Outside of the basics, you always want to keep your connections in force, so that if you can be of service, or if you need a service, you'll have someone to reach out to. But even bigger than that, the actual endorphins that you get from the, oh my God, it's so good to hear from you. Because that's the thing. We all want to be appreciated. We all want to be considered important. We want to be the light in someone's eye. Yeah. And this is a wonderful way of securing your self-care by reaching out and letting someone know that, not only are you the light in my eye, but hey, it's nice to know that I'm the light in yours as well.
That's awesome. That's so important. I agree. And that's something I'm terrible at, and I'm currently working on. And I have a couple friends who are just amazing at that, and I know exactly what you're talking about, because when she reaches out to me, I'm like so excited to talk to her, and like I want to be that person too. Like that is so important. I totally agree with that.
Right. But, it becomes one of those things like taking a bubble bath. I mean, it's a good thing to do. It's not like it's expensive, but it's like, man, I got so much other stuff I need to be doing. But next time I'm going to do it. But a lot of times we'll find that once we set out even the preliminary boundary of, hey, girl, I'm just going to talk to you for a second. You are on my mind. I just want to tell you, hey, boom, boom, boom. Keep a lock on your time. And just like the call is done. It didn't take up all your day after all. And as a matter of fact, now you don't have the guilt of not reaching out, right? Because the time is going to be spent either way. So exactly. It's on the connection or the guilt. So self-care is making sure that if you're going to spend the time, make sure you get the biggest bang for your buck on it.
Perfect. I love it.
Another one is sleep, man. Sleeping is so hard. But it is the catalyst to everything that we do. If we don't get proper rest, everything else is off, from our appetites, our moods, our ability to just be effective and present.
Yep.
Just, I mean, like even just simply being present.
Yeah.
Being a therapist, I can really feel it. So I can tell when I'm not rested, when colleagues and I are sharing about cases, and it's like, you kind of snap that client up a little bit. Has she got heart disease? Like, no, girl, I had. So, again, very small thing, but it's huge, making sure that you're well rested. Well rested and well hydrated, well fed. All those things are in the same bucket.
All the basic level. What is it? Is it Abraham Maslow's the hierarchy thing? I remember my psychology classes a little bit. Yeah, just those
and I still live by that thing. Like, well, hey, got to make sure that bottom rung is filled up.
Yep, exactly. It is so important, especially sleep. You can get away with, like you said, the Fritos. You can get away with that for a little while, but you can't get away with the not sleeping thing for very long.
Not at all, because it'll tell on you between your, like I say, even your parents. All that stuff is impacted by the sleep.
Yep.
So we got to get it done.
Yes.
And my last one that I have is to be grateful, right? And self-care is being grateful for all things, even our problems. So what we perceive as a problem. Because the truth of the matter is our problems are really just opportunities for us to develop a new set of skills, which is self-care in and of itself, being your best, most evolved self.
Yeah.
So if we can maintain a level of gratefulness as opposed to like, man, I hate this happened. If we can keep it grateful, then it will provide us even more opportunities to love on ourselves, which is key.
Yep.
And those are like all my examples of self-care.
It's perfect. I love it. Those are all so good. And I love, like I said a minute ago too, I love all of these things. We know all of these things, but you don't usually think about them and how they tie back into that self-care piece. That's so important. It's awesome. I love it. So let me read through here and see. I know I see some comments in here. Tanya, Tammy, everybody says hi. Tammy says she goes on Pinterest for an hour a week to dream a little. Self-care is harder than eating well. Dana says, yes, it really is. It really is. But it's so important. It's just as important. Take an hour a week to do something you want. Nails, toes, or reading. An hour for just me. Yeah, even something as simple as that, as like getting your nails done. It just makes you feel good and just gets you in that space where you can do all of the other things.
Absolutely.
Tanya says planning is a very undervalued method of self-care, but so important. Yes, that's what I said too.
That is a good one. That could be number 11. Thanks, Tanya.
Tanya also says teaching others to forgive you by forgiving yourself is awesome. She says Shonda Rhimes' Year of Yes changed my life. I'll have to check that out. Tanya, if you're still there, do you know what that is? The Year of Yes.
I've heard of the Year of Yes. Shonda Rhimes did a book. Matter of fact, they had it on sale. Amazon Kindle. I think I paid like a whole hearty 99 cents for it.
Yeah.
But I haven't read it yet though. But I hear that the backdrop is she said yes to every question that was asked to her for a year. So whatever came up, she said yes to it, and she said how that completely changed her life for the better.
Wow. I'll definitely have to check it out. Yeah, Tanya said it's a book. It's so good. That's so cool. Yeah, I've learned the no. Maybe I need to go back and learn the yes again.
Right? Just a little review on it.
Well, that's awesome. So that's all the questions that we have in there so far. So anyone else that's still with us, if you have any more questions, now is the time. And Rhonda, this has been so awesome talking to you. I've learned so much, like how all these pieces tie together and just how important it really is. It's crazy how important it is.
Isn't it? And all the small things really matter.
Yes. Yes, for sure. Well, if we don't have any more questions, then we will let everybody get back to their Sunday evening. And for anybody watching the replay, just go ahead and put in your questions there too. I'll be back in, and I can answer some questions. And Rhonda, if you're available to answer any questions people might have, that would be great too.
Awesome sauce.
Cool. All right. Well, everybody have a great evening, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Thanks again, Brooke. Take care now.
You too.